Hey y'all, Texas Beekeeper here. So I had been watching a lot of the videos from like Nathan at Duck River Honey and Binnie on their sugar syrup pumps, and used a lot of the stuff that I saw on theirs and put together mine. So I just wanted to share that in case it might be useful to somebody. So let's take a look. So right out of the tank is a 3/4 inch garden hose thread, and I screwed a quick release fitting onto that. So right here is the male part of the quick release, which snaps into this piece here. It's screwed into my garden hose, and so I can pull this forward and then pull the hose out if I wanted to disconnect, and then of course the cap here can close it all off. And then this hose right here goes around to the back and comes up into the pump here on the inlet of the pump. And the only reason I didn't turn it the other way to where it would be just a quick connect from this end is because these holes are offset, the mounting holes. And if I face it that way, then you've got the hose coming real close to this lid here, and I didn't want to have to hassle with that, so I just figured a little extra hose there going around the back, it's not going to hurt. So that's why it's facing the way it is. And so again, on my hose here, another quick disconnect, and in these pump fittings here, I swapped them out. They had a hose, like a barbed hose fitting, and I swapped that out for a 1/2 inch NPT. So then this piece right here that my finger's on is a 1/2 inch NPT female to a 3/4 inch garden hose male. And so this quick disconnect screws onto that. So now I can, rather than messing with the plastic every time, I can quick disconnect here at this point rather than at that point, because that point you got to pull this plastic tab back and then jerk that out and push the plastic tab back forward. Actually I think you'd have to put a cap in to seal it also, but anyways, I just thought this would be better for my needs to deal with this metal part rather than the plastic. Back to these fittings, I put a you know, the screened garden hose gaskets. I put one of those at this point and at the point we just looked at coming out of the tank. That way everything coming into here is going to be filtered through that screen, so no big chunks get in to the pump. I know Binnie and Nathan both, I think, used 1/8 inch hardware cloth, and this is a bit finer than that, and it's either going to, you know, clog up with sugar, which I don't think, because I mean technically that sugar is going to be dissolved a lot more than that. But if I have a problem, then I'll revisit this and go to maybe an 1/8 inch. But the manufacturer recommends, I forget if it was a 200 micron or I don't remember what size. But anyways, pretty dang small. So I figured the smaller the better. It wouldn't hurt it to try this way first. So that's what I've got for my filters. And then coming out of the outlet, same thing. I've got that same pump fitting that goes to a 1/2 inch NPT, and then the quick disconnect garden hose adapter, and then that screws in again into my hose, which that hose runs down to the hose reel. It comes in through the back side of the hose reel, and then coming out of the hose reel is my hose, and I've got the regular male garden hose on this end, female on the other end. That's the way it came. That's the way most garden hoses are. And then this piece I had a swivel in, which is more common, female to female, but I was getting a leak in the center there, no matter how good I tightened it down, and it's got the seals in and everything. So I replaced that with this solid piece that just came today. So I'm hoping now when I turn it on that it's not going to be leaking out of here. And then, so into here is the male part of the quick disconnect. And again, this piece right here slides back, and then that can pull out just like that. So that's the quick disconnect. And I'm gonna set y'all down real quick so I can plug that back in. All right. And then I've got the nozzle with a 1-inch NPT to 3/4 inch male garden hose thread adapter. I believe it's male. Yeah, male. And that allows me to put it on this swivel. So this piece will swivel, allowing it to not tangle the hose as much. And then coming out of the bottom is a 1-inch male NPT to 3/4 inch male garden hose thread. And so that allowed me to do this quick disconnect onto that. And I originally had a female here, but that piece that we just saw, the other end of the quick disconnect, it was buried way down into that female fitting. There's like a flat on the piece kind of similar to this that you can use to tighten it. That was buried all the way in, so you wouldn't have been able to get a good tighten seal on that. So that's why I went with swapping it around, which required me to use this adapter. If I'd have been able to do it the other way, if it wouldn't have been buried, then we'd have had one less piece there. But anyways, it's the 1-inch NPT nozzle, which will allow you to step it down, or if you ever went with a bigger hose, you could just go straight in that way. Okay, so that's it for my hoses. Now let's look at the tank part of it. So now what I got here is I put a switch on the tank to where I can cut the power off if I want, instead of disconnecting the battery cables. So from the battery, we'd have a positive alligator clip, and that runs into this circuit breaker, which right now you can see is a 15 amp circuit breaker, which this is a 13 amp max draw on the pump. And so originally when I ordered it, I ordered that circuit breaker thinking that's plenty, but the manufacturer actually recommends a 20 amp fuse. So I've got a new one here to swap that out with a 20 instead of a 15. So that'll meet the manufacturer's requirements on that pump. So I'm going to swap that out. And so positive terminal going into there, and then it comes out. And of course when I swap it out, I'll probably turn that around because it doesn't matter the way it is. Then that comes into the switch, which I can cut off here, and then the switch goes to the power on the pump. And then we've got the negative that I've got just another alligator clip that's going to go ground to the negative on the battery. So that's pretty much all I got. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this back in and just kind of show y'all how it pumps. I've got water in there right now, so no harm to pump that on the ground. All right, y'all hang tight. All right, so I've got it powered on and running, and so now it's met the 45 psi capacity. And as you can see, I'm not leaking here like I was. It was spraying, so I'm glad to see that. So if I were to be pumping syrup into a feeder, the pump comes back on, I fill the feeder up, and then once that's good, pump reaches its capacity again and stops, and move on to the next one. So there is a little bit of blast, but it's not too bad. I mean, it doesn't spray it. It definitely gives it a little bit more pressure right at first, but then it settles down. All right, that's all I got for today. Just wanted to share this. The tank was from Northern Tool. I believe it was like 125, 129, something like that, with free or $10 shipping. It was very reasonable. The battery I already had, believe it or not. Pump I think was 221, somewhere around that neighborhood. Hose reel, same as basically what Nathan had said on his. I do like it. I like the quality of it. Only thing I don't like is these rubber, there's little rubber grip pads on the bottom that they're just stuck in there, and they can come off pretty easily if you just bump it wrong. But minor, that's minor. I could put some tape around it or something. But other than that, I hope this is going to work out for me. The 60 gallons, right now I've been doing like batches of 10 to 15 gallons and putting them in 1 gallon containers. And then I'd use up the containers, or empty the containers, and then come back and refill them. So now I'll be able to do, you know, I don't think I'm going to do 60 gallons all at once just yet. I'm not quite there, which is why my tote that I have is overkill for me right now. But I think, you know, doing 30 gallons or 40 gallons or so, that way I have plenty of extra capacity in the tank to where I can still grow into it a little bit, and then once I outgrow it, I can move on to the tote that I have, and it basically would be the same setup, just on the tote. And now I do have to, I am going to have to pre-mix somewhere else, because you're not going to get a trolling motor down in that opening. So I am looking at probably getting like a barrel set up the way Nathan has his, and Seth from Bob Binnie's videos, where they just have a 55-gallon drum with a trolling motor hooked to a battery. I'm probably going to try to acquire a barrel pretty soon, and that'll get me to where I can mix it and then pump it into here already mixed, and then and go from there. But I think this is going to help. This is a 100-foot hose, which is going to reach every one of my spots except for one. But I think what I'll do there is just drag it out. I'm either going to have to drag it down as far as I can and then just pump into like a pitcher or something, or clear some brush and stuff out of the way to where I can back in a little bit closer. That's all I got today. If y'all have any comments, leave me a comment down below. Thank y'all for watching.